I'm Chon Stanley, and there will be a slight demonstration on how to make a piece of jewelry. I'm going to make a ring out of lapis lazuli, and you can use the same techniques for just about anything you want to do when you're soldering and making up a pendant or a ring or just about any kind of silver work you want. It's the same techniques. You're using the same tools, jeweler saw and files and silver, of course. It's sterling silver. So.
Great.
The idea of it is to, making any jewelry is to find the stone you want and then make a bezel. How are you going to set the stone? Now there's several ways of setting a stone. I like what they call a gypsy mount or bezel set. For fine things like diamonds and precious stones like that, they might use a thing called bead setting, where you have to use gravers and bring a bead up to keep the stone in. You'll see it on Mom's diamond ring or something. They'll have little prongs on it and holds it in there. A lot of times there's prong set too. It's a little bit higher prongs, but often when the stones are set down, they're bezel set or channel set, which is some of them you don't see the holding of it at all, the way it's held onto it. So I make, since I have been trained in silver and gold, I do most of my work with, just lost my beads, I just do most of my work in sterling silver and in 14 karat gold. So this is a regular old piece of ring shank, half round. You can roll it out yourself or buy it already made, pre-rolled, and which I do, and you pay a little bit more, but you don't have to go through the process of rolling it out yourself. This is from Rio Grande, and they're about the best, for me, best suppliers. So what I will do is I will anneal it first to soften it. And the way you do that is you heat the temperature up to where it's a dull red with sterling silver, and quench it really quickly. The idea of that is to create much more space and more, they're called vacancies or dislocations. So the crystal structure is now kind of, after it's heated and quenched, the crystal structure is a little bit different, and the crystal structure is it's like taking graph paper and cutting it all up and trying to put it back together. There's a lot of little spaces in there that don't quite work. So that's what you do when you anneal a piece of silver. You heat it up firstly with a torch to dull red, quench it really quick, and then it softens it up. So then you can use your mandrel and bend it around. So I can do that really quickly here with this. Bend it around. We can continue to do that until it comes out, until it comes out like this. So we've then bezeled it, we just made it round, we just rounded it out on the mandrel. Now the next stage would be for me to flatten it out on the top there so the stone will fit onto the bed. So I will take a file and I will flatten this out. Like you can do it on your wheel too, if you have a wheel, flatten this out so that the bed will sit on it. Now we made a bezel. Now we made the ring shank for it. The next thing we want to do is make the bezel. And I use bezel wire, which is 999 fine wire, and I will cut that out into the size to go around the piece of lapis lazuli, as I've done with that. I made a piece, wrapped it around the lapis, which I have here, the lapis lazuli, which I would use, and then what happens is, whoops, I just dropped a piece of lapis anyway, so I'll make the bezel, it'll surround that. That's what happened here. So I made one already. It's put onto, I made a bezel there, and it's already been mounted on this bed. So I'll then take the bezel and lay it on a piece of silver like this, and solder it. And the end result is this right here. The end result is like that. From that, I will then cut this around. I'll cut this all off take the, or I may leave excess if I wanted to add accoutrements to it, if I want to add a little twisted wire or add beads or something like that, I can do that. But at the moment, that's how it'll set. So then I will go ahead and take it now and cut the remaining off. I can either saw it, which I will do. This is a jeweler's saw with a 3/0 blade. They come in different grits. I'm going to keep 2 teeth on the saw, and I will go ahead and cut this out as well as I can, get it as close as I can. There is the initial cutting of the bezel bed, and then I will lay it on the ring shank itself.
You know what that stone is?
No, I don't.
It's iron tiger's eye.
So I'll lay that on there like that,
and he made the turtle
and solder it with. Of course, I haven't cut this off of here, but for demonstration purposes, I haven't cut some of it off like this. Cut that down there like that, and then I'll go ahead and solder it. And I use the same kind of solder I would use any other time. But I also want to flatten this out so it sits on there smooth, as well as inside. I want to curve it a little bit so it doesn't hurt anybody's finger when they slide that on there. I will go ahead and use another file and file that out. Then I just solder this on top of there. Oop. I'll just solder this on top of it.
Well, you know, we have
Top like that. It's not quite exactly straight, but I think you get the idea.
On the gift. Well, yeah, I know. I have some turtle rings too. If turtles are your thing.
no, it's a turtle volunteer.
Then I would use after it's cleaned up. Okay, after it's cleaned up, I'll go ahead and solder that on the top of this. Thereupon is the, and then when this, it would look like this when it's done.
Since you were looking at turtles, that's where my mind.
And I lay the stone into this. Lay the stone into that. After it's on the ring, of course, and then re-bezel it in.
Thank you.
And then go ahead and final polishing.
Does she? I don't know why.
So that's the ring.
I was just looking at this. This is a pretty little pendant.
Beautiful.
It does hand piercing on it.
Thank you.
So that's one of